Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Scott Spears Now. Today, the guest, a man I know you're going to like a whole lot. Started as a child star, worked with the likes of Gene Kelly, Frank Sinatra, Katharine Hepburn, but is probably best known for his role as Admiral Al Calavici on the hit TV series Quantum Leap opposite Scott Bakula. You've guessed it right, our guest today is the legendary Dean Stockwell. Will there be a Quantum Leap reunion? What is Mr. Stockwell up to these days? We're going to find that all out during this episode. Let's get to it. Here's Dean Stockwell. This is Scott Spears, and today I'm joined by one of my all-time favorite actors. From Married to the Mob to Quantum Leap, he has kept us entertained for years. It is my great pleasure to welcome to the program Mr. Dean Stockwell. Dean, you're looking great.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody.
This is a rare treat for me, Dean, because I've got to tell you a little insight here. I've started to watch the Quantum Leap reruns on G4 every night.
They're on every night, huh?
Every night. Before I go to bed now, I catch an episode of Quantum Leap, and that show holds up so well.
It was a good show. It really was.
Yeah. Well, Dean, I want to start early in your career, actually early in your life. What was your childhood like?
Well, that's a big question. I can't give you a simple answer. The main thing is I was working from age 7 on, making movies, doing radio shows, doing interviews, and that dominated my childhood.
When did you decide that you wanted to be an actor? Was it a conscious decision?
No, I didn't make a decision at all. My father was leaving my mother when I was 6, and he called her and told her there was an audition we were in New York, for a play on Broadway with a lot of kids in it. So my mother took my brother, who was 2.5 years older than I, and myself, down to this audition, and we both were put in this play. And in the play I had one line. The one line was, "I won't be damned." So I always liked that line. And I was seen by a talent scout from MGM Studios, and I was 7 then, and then I started making my first movie at 8, which was Anchors Away with Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly. And then I just kept making movie after movie after movie after movie. So and also I was constantly reminded I shouldn't hurt myself, because to slow down the shooting. So I couldn't play like normal kids play with abandon, And I think you could say, as far as a normal childhood is concerned, I lost mine. I didn't have it.
Do you resent the fact that you didn't have a normal childhood?
No, because let's face the fact, I've had quite an extensive career, and I'm thankful for that, and it just started early, that's all.
At 7 years old, with no formal training going into this acting business, how did you instinctively know how to do it?
Well, when you put the question, how did I instinctively, you've answered it. I just somehow had the instinct and the intuition to know what it was and how to do it. They call that talent, I believe.
Did you ever take an acting class?
No.
Do you?
Never did. They had a woman, can't remember her name right now, on the lot at MGM with an office, and they sent actors under contract in to see her, and she was supposed to be an acting coach. But privately, I never said this to her, she was a total joke. And I would just sit there and listen to her read the thing, and I go, and then just forget it.
Being of that age and instinctively knowing how to do it, because obviously you did, what do you think would have happened if you hadn't been taken to that audition? Do you think you would have gotten into acting?
I had no idea, absolutely no idea.
You worked with some great people, and that's so
yes, I did.
My goodness. What can you tell us about Frank Sinatra?
Well, Frank Sinatra was, I don't know, to clarify it, as opposed to Gene Kelly, because the two of them were in the movie I was with them in Anchors Away. And Gene was much more concentrated and focused on his own performance. Frank, I think, was a more developed person and had time to be even respectful to me, even though I was 7. And he was very generous and kind, and I thank him. I always thank him for being that way.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles I couldn't stand.
Is that right?
That's right.
Why couldn't you stand him?
Well, he was all big, blustery ego, and he was mean to people that were, just trying to do their job on the set, and he'd call them out in front of everybody and slam them, and I just hated him.
Katharine Hepburn.
Katharine, love her. Great. Just great. Of course, I didn't work with her as a child. We worked together on Long Day's Journey into Night when I was in my 20s, and she was just beautiful.
After having such a great start in your career, working regularly, appearing with some great people, in the 1960s you decided to kind of get away from show business. Why did you do that?
Well, it wasn't totally simply my arriving at a decision. In this acting business, if you start out, 8, 9, 10, 11, when you get up to about 15, 16, they start calling that the awkward age. You start to get pimples, and you're not a child anymore. And as a result, you don't get much work.
When you walked away from it, or were just in a slow period, what did you do?
Oh, I worked on the railroad for a while. I worked in a tire-making factory. Worked in an office building. Just different things to, survive.
Did you always want to come back to acting?
Well, I knew that I had a fund of money that was put away for me by a certain act or something. The kids, the parents can't spend all their money. They have to put it away for when they're 21. So I had to wait on this until I was 21, and then I could, it wasn't much, 20 grand or something like that, But I did have that.
Dean, you would have a very unique perspective on this being a child star. Why do so many child stars get off the beaten path and can never come back, can never find work?
I don't know really any more than I know how I was able to overcome that. But that is a thing that one sees regularly in movie history. Young people, they grow up and they don't have the same, they don't have an appeal anymore. I guess I was lucky, I guess.
When you came back to making movies and being on screen, what was that like after that hiatus?
It was good. What happened was I did a little TV show with a woman named Janice Rule, who was a very beautiful, gorgeous woman, and I fell very much in love with her. And she left for some reason, went back to New York, met a playwright, fell in love with him, dumped me. But the playwright was being hired to write the movie of the play Compulsion. And she recommended that I be the one for one of the roles. And it turned out that I got it, largely because of her. And that started me back. I did this is the play on Broadway. I did the play on Broadway, and then I was the only one in the play that went on to be in the movie. And that started my adult career.
Dean, I find acting very interesting, and anytime I talk to an actor, I'm just fascinated by certain things.
Yeah.
Were you different as a child actor than you were as an adult actor? Are there differences aside from the obvious?
No. I operate exactly the same way. My instinct works exactly the same way as far as the acting itself is concerned. As far as my life as an adult, it was different than as a child, and I had to adapt to the adult world. But when I came down to acting, exactly the same process.
I've talked to several actors, and I always get a different answer on from this question, and I'm interested to know your answer.
I'll give you another different one. Go ahead.
A lot of people tell me that, for example, Dean Stockwell, that every part you play, there's some of Dean Stockwell in that role, aside from the fact that the character looks like you and sounds like you. Other people say that if they see Dean Stockwell in that role, they have failed as an actor. Which do you ascribe to?
Oh, I don't think it's a failure as an actor to be perceived as yourself. What's happening? Smoke. It looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's real life. I operated and still do exactly the same way as when I acted as a child. And I relied on my own instincts and intuition, and still was able to do characters. And I've been able to do that as an adult. That's it.
So there's some of Dean Stockwell in everything you do.
Yes. Maybe not in Blue Velvet.
Which character in your career has been most like Dean Stockwell?
I'd say Alan Quantum Leap.
Is that right?
Yeah. In other words, you would call Alan Quantum Leap the color character or even the comic relief. And that's very much more like myself. I consider humor a very important part of life, and I was able to utilize my sense of humor in that role.
And I do want to get to Quantum Leap here in a second, but one thing that is great and doesn't shock me at all, 1988, you were nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Academy Award for Married to the Mob. What was that like after a pretty long
Well, I should have won.
Yes, you should have.
That's how that was like. No, it was a great honor, of course. And frankly, I felt I deserved it. That was a fantastic role that really suited me because it involved humor as well as, being a mafia don. And so I got great satisfaction out of it, even though I didn't win the award. It's an honor to be a nominee. It really is.
Did you think that you would be nominated as you were acting, putting the role together?
No, I didn't think about it at all until after it was done and the nominations were coming up. I thought, I might get in, and I got one.
It certainly is an honor to be nominated. I would agree with you on that. But when the other name is called, what is that moment like?
It's a drag.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another drag, I thought my nomination should be for Best Actor. Because when you look at Married to the Mob, it's more than a supporting role. But I took the supporting actor nomination.
That's something I don't think a lot of people understand. What is the difference between a lead actor and a supporting actor? Because in the movies in the 40s and 50s, a lot of times the person who was the name on the poster was not in the majority of the movie.
Well, if they had that strong a name, of course, yeah.
So what is the difference when it comes to a nomination process between a lead and a supporting?
Well, coming off of what I just told you, I think it's vague, and I don't really know. Because I think my nomination should have been for Best Actor in that particular movie. I had that dominant a role in it, but I didn't get it. So I guess they look at it a different way, and I haven't talked to anybody from the nominating process. I don't know.
Do people from so they must just group it themselves, I guess is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do want to get on to the role that I'm sure you're most associated with. People love this show, the role on Quantum Leap as Al Calavici.
As the years go by, I find it just amazes me how many people really have a strong recollection and feeling about that show.
They really do.
Yeah, yeah.
How did that role come about? You had just come off your nomination.
Yeah, actually, Don Belisario, who created the show and produced it, got the idea of casting me in it from seeing me in Married to the Mob. So that was the cause and effect deal.
So it was just an automatic casting.
Yeah,
You didn't have to
he cast me in it, and he let me do anything I wanted.
What was it like meeting Scott Bakula?
Well, I don't really remember the first meeting with him, but right from the beginning, working with him, it was great. Could not have been better. The guy is terrific. And we had a chemistry that was just wonderful.
How was the role of this hologram from the future pitched to you?
Well, they just sent me the script. You know, they didn't have to do any pitching. You know, for one, it was a lead role in the series, and you know, any actor was looking for that. And I was very pleased to get that. So you know, they didn't have to pitch it.
I have heard in interviews both Don Belisario and Scott Bakula say they didn't think you would take it because you were just coming off that big nomination.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they were wrong. And I did the right thing in taking it, I think.
I think you absolutely did. If you remember reading that first script, and I don't remember what the first episode was, but is there something that stuck out that made you say, this is a role I want to play?
Well, I thought being someone who other people, their hands went right through them, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, no, the idea of being only present and visible to Scott, I thought was very interesting. And all the other people around me didn't see me, so I could do other funny little things with them, you know, which I did do.
As we had talked about in this interview, you say that character was most like Dean Stockwell. Who was Admiral Al Calavici in your mind?
Well, he was me.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I just went into Al Calavici.
Do you have a favorite episode of Quantum Leap?
No, look at this, 97 hours. And to pick a favorite is, to me, it's impossible. I say the pilot because that was the beginning of it.
We talked about your feeling for Scott Bakula. What was it like working with him, seeing him do all those different roles over that 5-year run?
Well, at times it was quite amusing because, you know, we'd get the upcoming script and he was going to be a woman or something. So I would give him a lot of crap about him. And we had a wonderful relationship, a very humorous relationship, good working relationship. And on a high professional level, we just zapped these things out. There was no fooling around.
A lot of people say an hour series is hard to do. Was that show hard to do from the perspective of hours, days on the set?
Yeah, but it was mostly on Scott. I mean, I would total, out of a 7-day shoot, I would total max for 4 days, you know. I didn't always get 3 days off. Didn't work that way, but if you added up how much I did in each show, it was less than half of what he did. Because I would come in and out, you know.
There were a couple of unique character traits to Al, I think, that I want to talk about. One you have with you is the cigar. Was that your idea or their idea?
Well, it was my idea as a way to get free cigars.
And it worked.
Oh, boy, did it work. You know? They had really good cigars, and I thought it was a good addition to the... I already smoked them anyway. It was a good addition to the character.
Tell me about the outfits.
That was Don's idea, Belisario's idea. He hired a costumer specifically for my outfits. I'm trying to think of his name. Jean-Pierre Dorliac designed my outfits. They were wild. Every show, I loved them.
Did you keep any of those?
I wish I had kept more. I kept 1 or 2 little things. And that silver jacket, I wish I'd kept that. Damn it. but I didn't.
The item that I see you most associated with, that hand link, that Lego-looking toy.
Right. Well, on the first episode, on the first couple of episodes, that hand link was a little black thing, looked like a transistor radio, just, nothing. But I made something out of it. I made it like an adversary, and I whopped it. And next thing you know, Belisario was putting in sound effects when I'd hit it. It'd go, ooh, like that. And he had another unit designed, much more color than the one you see mostly.
Very interesting, and I don't know much about acting any more than anybody off the street would, except from watching and interviewing. But I have never seen anybody work a prop in the history of show business like you worked that hand link.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, it became a character to me, and I just went ahead and did it, and Don just went for it. Like I say, he let me do anything I wanted.
Did you keep the hand link?
I have it. Yeah, I have one. There was 3 or 4 of them. I have one.
Such a unique piece of show business memorabilia.
Yeah.
Dean, why did the show end? People want to know. They felt it was cut too soon.
Yes, people almost universally feel that way. I don't know. That was Don's decision. He made it. He wrote it. That's the way he wanted it. Fine.
I know this question gets thrown out all the time at the fan conventions and interviews everybody does, Scott, and you and everybody else. Why no reunion?
I don't know that. As the first few years ensued after the show was down, I kind of thought that would be a good idea. I kind of thought that would come up. Did not. I don't know why.
You guys are both still around. Do you think it will ever happen?
No, it's way too late. Way too far gone for that.
If somebody came to you and did like the idea, would you do it at this point?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No question, yeah.
Did you like the way that the series end with Sam not leaping home?
Well, like I say, I couldn't argue with it because that was totally Don's idea. That's the way he wanted to do it, and we all kind of accepted it. I'm sure it might have been a little more difficult for Scott to accept it.
When you go back and do the fan conventions, what are the crowds like?
Well, they're very appreciative of that show. Like I sort of inferred earlier, I'm surprised how powerful a position it holds historically in fans' minds. That's a special show. They love it. And I'm very proud of that.
And as well you should be. When you see Scott, is it like old times? When you
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like not a moment has gone by.
Yeah. Such a great show, as I have said. Dean, when you look back at this career, which spans a long, long time, what's the highlight? What's the high for you, personally?
The high is Long Day's Journey into Night.
Why do you consider that the high?
Well, this is a movie that was made directly from the play by Eugene O'Neill, who was considered the greatest American playwright of the last century. And it had a super powerful cast. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes of just 4 people, 4 performers. Katharine Hepburn, Jason Robards Jr., and Sir Ralph Richardson, and myself. So I was in super fast company, which I love being in. And it's such a beautifully written piece. And like I say, we did it, Sidney Lumet directed it. We did it directly from the play. There was never a screenplay written. He just shot the play. And, it's one of the great plays in American history.
Absolutely.
So, that's why I loved it.
Do you have any regrets?
No.
Was there ever a role you turned down or took that you wish you had not?
No.
Work is work.
Work is work. I turned down very few things. I can't even think of anything I ever turned down.
At this time in your career, at this age, what roles do you like to play?
Old men. No, I would always perennially, boy, how about that pronunciation? perennially favor comedic roles.
Do you consider yourself a comedic actor? Obviously, you can do drama.
Yeah, but obviously I can do comedy too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Another interesting facet to your career has been your art career. Has that always been something that was there?
Well, that was there since the late 50s. But I never hit the gas on it, as opposed to now. As a matter of fact, this Friday, on the 28th, I'm having a show in Santa Fe at a place called the Zane Bennett Gallery of Artwork, and I'm very proud of it. Hmm. So I've leaned more toward the art side of my life than the acting side in recent years.
Yeah, are you self-taught, or did you take after somebody, or where did that come from?
No, self-taught. Mm. I was influenced by artists that I knew, by Wallace Berman and Bruce Conner, George Herms, and people like that. But it just came out of me.
And the paintings are the artwork itself is just very unique. I saw one before we came on the air today involving dice.
Yes.
And I really liked that. I thought that was such a unique idea.
Yeah, well, those are pieces that I'm showing this Friday. I've done a lot of them. And they get a great response from people, especially young people, strangely. Yeah.
Yeah. What does the future hold, Dean? Where do you want to see life go from here?
Well, I want to do. I'm very, very happily married to my dear wife Carol, and my kids are grown up. So I think cruising that'd be a pretty good thing to do. Yeah.
Is there a role that you still want to do that you've never done?
How about Emperor of the World?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Let it in. Because of the medium of television and motion picture, Dean, years from now, you are going to be remembered for the work you've done. You've appeared in so many great products that they're just going to be around. They sustain. 100 years from now, when people look back at that footage, and you're gone and we're all gone, how do you want them to remember you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I just attended a convention in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was a Comic-Con, they call it, mostly to do with comics and comic books and this and that. But they gave me a table, and I bring pictures and sign them, and people give me $20 a picture, you know. And I found, for the first time, that people were referring to me as a legend. Mm. And, you know, I think that kind of says it all. I'm very happy about that.
I would agree with those people wholeheartedly. No, absolutely.
Dean, they're after you.
I hear them in the background. Dean, one final question, and it's because of your extensive acting career, and you have done those roles that are so palpable. I mean, getting a nomination for an Academy Award, working with Katharine Hepburn, there's such a great body of work there, and who knows what you'll do from here on out. Does it bother you that probably because of the medium of television, that first and foremost, you're always going to be remembered for Al Calavici?
Does not bother me, no. People that look into my career thoroughly will, you know, see I've done over 100 movies. But Al is a special thing.
A unique niche all to its own.
A unique niche. Very unique niche.
Well, I have to tell you, Dean, as I said at the top of the interview, as of late, I've rediscovered Quantum Leap myself on the G4 network. I love to watch the program. It holds up well. I hope the DVD sales are going well. They should be. And this has been a great pleasure to have you on the program today, and it's great to see you're doing well.
Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it.
And I hope you come back in the future.
Thanks.
Dean Stockwell.
Okay, bye, guys.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Scott Spears Now with the legendary actor Dean Stockwell. Can we hold out for a Quantum Leap reunion? I know I am. I hope it will come one day. I know Dean's up for it. We didn't get to see the hand link, but who knows what will happen in the future. I know Mr. Stockwell will keep acting and keep us entertained at the conventions and on television and in movies for many years to come. He certainly is a legend in my book, and I hope he does come back on this program. But until next time, this is Scott Spears, heading for the dugout.